Captain's Log, Episode 34. This week's episode of the Beer Vengers podcast is sponsored by Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens. Now open 7 days a week. Enjoy the eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, home bar to yours truly, Captain Porter Brown Stout. This week, Captain Huck and Beer Wonder welcome return guest beer venger Incredulous Bulk / Dr. Bruce Beer Nerd for a 7-pour show that goes on the road to check out the Ohio beer scene after taking a hard look at a new movement shining a light on sexism in the craft beer industry. The rest of the show is, well, honestly, once we've hit 7 pours, it can be a challenge to accurately describe what happens next, except that it's fun for all. We'd also like to thank our friends at Feedspot.com for putting us on their list of top 35 craft beer podcasts. Remember to like, star, and subscribe us whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeervengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 34, Thirstplace of Ale Libation.
Well, we're the beer vengers, beer vengers, beer vengers. We're the beer vengers.
Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. Coming to you from an undisclosed location very near the birthplace of aviation, I am Captain Porter Brown Stout.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location astride the park known as Central Park, it is I, the Pale Male, Hophead Huck.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location beneath a bridge in the County of Kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder!
From the secret basement lab in Dayton, Ohio, I am Dr. Bruce Beer Nerd, sometime the Incredulous Bulk.
And we are the
Beer
Vengers. That's right. We are the Beer Vengers. Welcome everyone in whatever form, whatever state, whatever country. We haven't seen a lot of international visitors yet, so we miss you and come back, which is very helpful to all the domestic people who are listening to this. But if you know anyone, we like you too.
Did we have Croatians for a while, or was it?
I'd love to have some Croatians. Croatians and Latvians. There's actually the next. We need to do some outreach, I think. Welcome to the show, everyone. As you've heard, we have a wonderful guest returning beer venger, Dr. Bruce Beer Nerd, aka the Incredulous Bulk. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Indeed.
And as you may have noticed from my introduction, I am geographically much closer to the good doctor this week. I have been in Dayton, Ohio for the past 2 days. I'll tell you a little bit more about my experience since I got here and the Ohio beers I have, but none of that is really relevant while we're all just sitting here thirsty with empty glasses. I think it's time for the pours.
Distinctly possible.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's got to be.
Very possible.
All right.
And now's the awkward moment, right?
It is. It's very awkward.
Super tense. I
know it's not me. I know it's not me.
Okay. Well,
all right.
I mean, it's not going to be me. I'm just saying, it's really not going to be me.
I'll go first. Am I a guest since I'm out of town, or
no?
Yeah, I know. I failed the test, didn't I?
You
guys were testing me, and I failed miserably.
Exactly.
Of course. Go ahead. You say it, Beer Wonder.
It would only be polite. We have to let our guests go first.
We do. We absolutely have to let it go first. Doctor, what do you have for us today?
Yes.
Well, so I'm kind of, since Cap and I went shopping together, I decided to go a little counter style because oftentimes our tastes align. So I have from the Ohio brewery Hoppin' Frog, the Hoppin' Frog Pineapple Upside Down Cake, which is, and this is something we might want to talk about a little later, let's say a novelty style. It's a citrus ale, which is not a style name I've heard before.
Interesting.
We're going to get it right up close to the mic to hear the crack.
Yes, very important.
Fruited ale may have been.
Oh, that was pretty magical.
And this is one I've not had before. I was going to say that it's kind of counter style for the brewery as well. Oh, get that up in the face. I'm not
Oh
used to that.
dear. I
Very
I'm
unique.
Um,
I'm not sure what color this is.
No, it's
I'm
undefined.
feeling
It's
pineapple
definable,
out of
but
the
not by me.
glass.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of goldeny, but the pineapple must be doing something there because I can't even quite tell.
See a little darkness to it.
Yeah.
from here, I mean, my side, it's interesting. I can actually see the color difference on camera.
Hmm.
It is very much the color of fresh pineapple in my
Wow.
glass. So
And a beautiful, tall for this kind of beer, but also very white, very frothy head.
yeah,
Yes.
Really beautiful.
yeah, I'm really looking forward. The nose is
Yeah.
really remarkable. It is pineapple, but it's not pineapple candy. It's yeah, pineapple and malt. I'm looking forward.
All right.
Magical.
Well, I'm
So
inspired by last week's guest,
Hmm.
uh, mother of flagons.
Yes.
Yes.
She had a
Long may she
German beer, a
rule.
couple of German beers. So I'm like, it got me thinking, I want a Doppelbock. I want to
Ooh.
get a Doppelbock going. And so I have a Doppelbock
Hey.
from the fatherland. This is
Ooh.
called Andechs. Andechs Doppelbock Dunkel. Okay, and
Is Andechs the name of the brewery?
Andechs is the brewery. And you see it says Kloster, so it's monks. And you see the
Mm.
date there since, what does it say?
1455.
1422.
Whoa.
1455. I was looking
All
at it backwards.
A while ago, in either
1455.
case.
So they've
What's
been
30
making
years
this
when
beer.
you're already looking
This
at
is their
600 years?
signature beer. I often prefer the old styles done by American brewers, but let's go for it. I got my mug.
Oh wow. Good German style mug there.
I
Beautiful.
got the label in there.
From
Moss.
Mass.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, it's got that dark brown color that you expect from this kind of beer. It's getting beautiful head formation on there, really frothy. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, this is like classic.
That looks chewy, and I want one.
So
Such
There
a
we
beautiful.
beautiful
go.
head, too.
Big head on there.
Mm-hmm.
Got that caramely nose. Yeah, all right. Look forward
Gosh,
to trying
that
that. It's not as
that's
dark as it looks on camera.
mm-hmm.
It's got a more of an amber darkness to it when I hold it up to the light. But
But
yeah,
still
there you
very
go.
beautiful. Just still really.
Andechs.
Yeah, indeed.
Gotta get that
Yeah.
label without this reflection. There it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Captain, I know you were excited, and I did kind of,
Well, no, I deserved it. But I
I
mean,
did have to lay down the hammer. So would you like to go
sure, I
next?
will. I will go next. So yes, as the good doctor mentioned, when I got here a couple days ago, I got in touch with him right away, and he took me to the Barrel House. As you may recall, my beer from last week was co-made by the Barrel House as a collaboration. So I thought that would be a great place to go to shop. So he helped me pick out a few beers, and he also gave me a few beers. And I was
Oh.
looking at all of them today and figuring out what am I going to have on the show. And even though this is a brewery that the doctor featured on his last appearance, this incredible can, this crowler, just got my attention. And this is the Branch and Bone Strength of Faith.
Oh
Mm.
my
That is
goodness.
it's a wheat
Ah,
wine. Is that correct, Doctor?
yes, yeah. Which barley wine with wheat, if you like. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's yeah.
So that is a massive 750 milliliter can, which is why you could barely hear me say massive just a moment because I put the can between me and the mic. And let's just crack this open. Fresh crowler. Ooh, wow.
Always a good way to go. Oh, a beautiful crack. Speaking
Yeah,
of
here we
freshies.
are. All right, let's take a look. This lovely mug I have here.
Now, this is not your traditional, receptacle, but
Yeah.
that and it's giving you it's so fresh that the
Yeah,
head
it's
is just
leaking over the
jumping straight
side
out
a
of
little
there.
bit onto my mic, so I was.
Oh,
Oh boy.
It's all
you
right.
can't
Well,
have that.
anyway, we'll let the head. Let the head settle in, but there's still a whole lot of beer in here. So I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna call over Father B and give him a taste of this as well. Come on
Brown
over.
Stout.
Yeah, here we go. Father Brown Stout.
Right.
What do
Oh,
we have
look at
here?
that. Sharing
All
is
right.
caring.
Nice to
There
see
we
you.
go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now make sure to come back with good tasting notes.
Yes.
All right. All right. Yeah. There. Oh, here it is. I'll hold that up again. That's good.
There you
This
go.
is
Nice caramely head on that.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
just absolutely gorgeous.
this is retribution for all the times I mocked Beer Wonder about his pouring skills.
Well,
But yeah,
Now, I had a
very
wheat
good.
wine on our barley wine episode.
You
That's
did,
right.
yes, I
Recall how
remember
that
that.
went.
Well, it means
Let's
All
we're
keep
right,
in
an
for
so
a
eye
good
on the
night.
captain. Well, at least he's sharing with Father Brownstout there. So
Yes.
that's good.
So what do you have there, Beer Wonder?
Okay.
We'll edit it.
As appears to be my tradition for the last couple of weeks, I am doing a
Sponsored pour.
Ooh, a sponsored pour from Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars at 35-11 Ditmars. Do tell.
Exactly. Well, so this is one that we I recently received from them, so very exciting. But also one that I have had in the wild and was excited to bring back because it is from a little brewery that we have spoken about here on the beer cast called Torch and Crown Brewing Company, and it is their Cold Box Tetris West Coast IPA,
Oh, very good.
which is wildly delicious. So I am thrilled to bring this over to the podcast. Also,
Nice.
nice fresh can, so I'm excited for the crack here.
Yeah, that's a freshie.
There you go. Oh, it's
Crack a
just
doodle do.
jumping right out there. All right. So, 45 degrees. Let's make this happen. We hope.
Looking
Ooh,
good.
Yeah.
Looking
Mhm,
good. I'm
nice
feeling
and
good.
gold.
Yeah.
Really clear.
Not too hazy.
Got
No.
that California color to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. It smells about as West Coast as you'd expect it to. Like
Nice.
I'm getting pine. I'm already getting a little pine tree. I'm a little bit of citrus, but not a huge amount of citrus. But the nose definitely is more West Coast than any of these hazy boys that usually are hanging out with us on the East Coast.
Right.
And I am excited to drink this again because my first time was not enough. Just wasn't.
There you go. Well,
All right. Well, cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Salud.
Here we go.
Salud, slancha,
Kampai, etc.
chin. Well, it's a pretty easy drinking Doppelbock.
Mhm.
It's got that real malty, caramely flavor. The only problem I'm finding, and I get this a lot with Doppelbocks, is that the head goes away quickly. It's not a lot of
Mhm.
retention. So if you don't drink it fast enough, it might taste a little flat. But the flavor's great.
Mhm.
You can tell it's been brewed for centuries.
Yeah.
They
You
perfected
really
it.
feel those Bavarian monks drinking these during the Lent, so they don't, so while they're fasting, you really get that. This is a meal.
Lots of nutrients in there.
Lots of nutrients. Yeah, it's going down nicely. Look, it's already gone. All right. Yeah, that's me. Andeksh.
Yeah, I would say on mine, the head is finally starting to subside here. It's really good. This is a 10.9% barley wine,
Woo!
wheat wine, and it's got a very sweet chocolatey notion to it. It's not an especially boozy flavor.
Interesting.
Which
nice.
could make it
That's
kind of
cool.
dangerous. So I'm glad I have someone to share this with.
And it's gorgeous in the glass. I mean, it's just even I'm seeing it on video, and I'm just like, ooh, it's dark, and that just really caramely foam on there.
What inspired you to choose this one for me, Doctor?
A couple of things. One, of course, it is the high ABV, but also a black barley wine or black wheat wine is kind of an unusual find.
Yeah,
And
Very
that
true.
was the last of it. So I got the two crowlers and thought, this is definitely something special. Let's have a treat for someone who won't get many chances at it. So.
Well, I'm very very grateful.
Also love the name. Strength of Fates that's a good thing to order, right?
I don't know if you caught that. Father B says he's quite grateful as well.
Oh, good. No, I didn't catch it. Cheers.
Awesome. Well, tell us about this mysterious pineapple situation you're dealing with, Doctor.
So, in summary, I love it. The head did not retain, although it's got some
No.
nice legs there. Um, how to? It tastes of pineapple juice and a really rich malty, like maybe an English mild, but you're losing the biscuity under the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So think like a malty English style is the first thing. Okay. This might be a little déclassé, but does anyone remember Durango? So this was a
Durango.
Canadian only. Yes, it was made by Molson, and they technically a fruited beer, although today's world, it would have been replaced by things like a Mike's Hard Lemonade. But it was made a little better than that. This has the same kind of fruit emphasis, but of a very good, clearly fresh, real fruit
Oh.
on a much better base beer. So this is a member of a series, and I'll be checking out some of the others, um, especially like really easy drinking, very summery. Like when you're in that mood where perhaps you might go for a juicy mixed drink, or um, even something like a spritzer or a flavored seltzer. I would put this in front for sure.
Huh.
So
Now,
Interesting.
hard to judge as a beer, but man, it's a wonderful tasting thing.
I think you get a wider spectrum of Hop and Frog being so close to. It's a Cleveland brewery, right?
Akron,
Akron. Okay.
so pretty close. Yeah.
And so therefore you probably get a wider spectrum of what they have, because most of what, I mean, this is partly what I look for, but also most of the stuff I've seen has been like the big chewy Russian imperial stouts, like the Boris and the Doris and all of that. What is this? Do they have a wide range of different styles and flavors?
They do, and that's like I mentioned. I thought this was kind of counter to style for the brewery, but that's not the case. I will say that it's a lot easier to find even around here the really enormous and great imperial stouts, because those are sort of collectible. They're sought after.
Hmm.
But they have they're like a really wide ranging. They do a couple of really minority styles. Like they did a Swedish holiday ale, which I had in December. They called the Frogly Klaus. Uh, little tiny cans, very high ABV, but in flavor profile, very much a light lagery sort of thing. So it's they are very wide ranging. It's
Excellent.
just a matter of what stockists think they'll move the most of.
They're saying with this one that they're capturing delightful flavors of pineapple, cherry, vanilla, and cake in a can.
Cake.
Cakes. Well, you get it's called the upside down cake, right?
Right.
Yep. You know what? I did not read the description first. I get the cherry now that you say it. Yeah,
But
The
do you
so
get
cherry
the
goes in the middle,
cake?
it's in the
like the
finish.
pineapple.
I think it's
Yeah,
interesting.
what is the liquid
Ale with
flavor of
natural
cake?
flavors
You
added.
know, it's
I mean, doctor, I'm
yeah,
counting on you for this.
yeah.
This does seem to be your space, um, but yeah, I could. I mean, I think about like a graininess or like a lightness is what I would expect out of that. Like maybe if I'm thinking a pineapple upside down cake, right? I want a sponge cake or some
Yeah.
sort on the bottom. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't call out any notes in
And it
the
doesn't
Okay.
seem to be
flavor that
made
are
with milk
cakey.
sugar, which is usually
Hmm.
thrown into
Yeah,
these dessert beers. But
you definitely get that, but only as a smoother or a mellower, right? It's not. It doesn't have the milk
right, I don't
note
think it's in there.
or
Yeah,
really the heavy mouthfeel that one would get with a lot of lactose. So
right. So, Captain, this is a good example of a fruited beer that's not a sour.
Yes, although I
Yeah.
think the Evil Twin has such a wide range of what they call a sour. If this beer were made by Evil Twin, they just might call it a sour.
They might
but
No
it's
just
kind of
try to
disrespect to
sneak
the
it into that
wonderful work they're
category.
doing at Evil Twin, but their categorizations run pretty wide.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I was actually chatting with folks about adding fruit to beer, and the thing I was sort of reflecting on were things like raspberry porters, which we
Mm,
saw. I feel
Yeah,
like I feel like I read about happening before I was legally allowed to drink, in days before, but that have sort of picked up, and also a lot of fruited saisons tend to be a place that people tend to throw in a little extra fruit, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's
yeah,
getting to be summer, so I want fruit in
you
my beers more
yeah.
than I did beforehand.
I've recently picked up both a raspberry and a strawberry stout. Who knows?
Ooh,
Maybe one or both of them will turn up at some point soon.
ooh,
it's
we'll
distinctly possible.
see. We'll see.
Excellent.
Well, speaking of a lack of fruit, that is the definition of what I have right here in a
Yeah.
West Coast IPA. This is so they're using again my number one favorite word that I now talk about with beer, which is resiny. It literally
Mm-hmm.
does end like there's sap in my mouth, and I am just very thrilled about all of that. Um, this is just such a good beer. I want more of it, and it's good because there's half a can left, but it's also 7.5%. So like, we'll see how that works.
It's got some heft. Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
very good. Let me
Well,
see
we
if
have
there's
some very nice
any
beers here
information
today,
on that.
gentlemen. And now it's been a real interesting week in beer. There's been a
Yeah.
rather disturbing trend. I mean, disturbing is how much we're hearing about it this week. But yeah, Huck sent me a text about this a few days ago, and I'd been reading some things about it, but I think you've been taking a deeper dive. So, do you want to do you want to talk about this a little
Yeah,
bit, Huck?
I think it was just the beginning of this week. And sometimes this is about the calling out people on sexual harassment and racism and all those different things that we've been doing better on in the past few years. But in the craft beer industry has sort of dodged that bullet to this point. And the crazy thing about this is it's all coming out in a matter of 2 days, right? So
Yeah.
what happened was this woman named Brienne Allen, and she is a brewery production manager at Notch Brewing, which is a lager house, nice spot up in Salem, Massachusetts. And they're opening a new tap room in I want to say Brighton.
Hmm.
It's outside of Boston. And so what happened was she started to get she's the manager, right? The brewery production manager, and she's opening this thing. She's in charge of opening the new space. So she goes, and one of these contractors and a couple of other people are like, "We are gonna when can we get the boss to come in here and talk to me about this? Because I can't imagine that you're gonna do this." This young, attractive, tattooed woman, and she was just like so fed up that she went on her Instagram and said, anybody else getting sexist comments in the beer industry? Let me know. I'll put it in my stories, right? And so she put that up, and literally thousands of people have sent her anonymously, for the most part, stories, and she's kept people anonymous, and is just an outpouring of these stories, and most of them are of the typical variety where a woman's a brewer, and they're like, "Oh, you're the hottest forklift driver I've ever seen," and a bartender saying, can you bring out the brewer so I can ask questions, assuming they don't have any knowledge, just these kind of microaggressions, right? We call them. And so, but many of them were very disturbing accusations of attempted rape, and there was other these other accusations of sexual assault and these kind of things, and a lot of them came from the heads of certain breweries. And Sean Hill from Hill Farmstead was called out for his sexist behavior directly to Brienne. In fact, our hostess for this forum, and so he's been called out a little bit. Hasn't really had a good response. One that has been called out is Tired Hands Brewing,
Yeah.
which I'm a big fan of. And apparently, the two owners, which is a man and a woman, they just really run a very toxic workplace, not just for women, for everyone. And I've seen so many of these posts have come up. Oh, here's another one about Tired Hands. Here's another one of what it's like to work at Tired Hands, making them sign contracts, telling them if they don't like it, work somewhere else, harassing the wait staff. There's like this cadre of bros that are sort of in the higher echelon at the place, and they sort of run around, sit in their break rooms, and just harass people all day. And apparently, it's just really bad. So what happened? The response to that was the staff actually asked that the man step down from day to day operations. Jean uh, Brulette, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but he has stepped down from day to day operations. Another one is Modern Times.
Hmm.
In fact, a lot of these posts were about the San Diego scene, which I was really surprised at. It was like a lot of it was about San Diego. They had an employee who was harassing the other employees and was very toxic, and the CEO himself, Jacob uh, McKenna. I'm sorry, my own writing. Jacob McKay. He has resigned as the CEO. He's still the owner of the brewery, but he has taken himself out. And there's another one with this, a couple of others where people have stepped down. And there's a brewery out of Denmark called Bitter, and there's a guy named Soren, and he's the
Mm-hmm.
owner of the brewery. And apparently, he hits on every woman that he comes across, and he's just a real lecherous guy. And he's the owner of this brewery. and I'm so sorry I can't think of the name of it. But there's just so much coming in. Some of the positives, there was this guy named Jeff Nelson who was a real predatory guy who was in beer sales in the San Diego scene, worked for a couple of breweries there, and was so toxic that he had to leave the scene. And he got a job at Connecticut Valley Brewing up here in Connecticut. And I guess they didn't know that this guy was a problem, and he has been fired today. So there's been a lot of reaction, positive reaction. In Ohio, Jackie O's brewery, which is one of the standards in Ohio, they were called out for a former employee that was did a lot of harassing of the women, not only in the brewery but customers, and he had been fired. But the owner of the brewery, who named the brewery after his mother, Jackie O, as a tribute to his mother, he said, "My mom wouldn't have liked this toxic atmosphere that I helped to." That I let happen, basically. And if you go to their website, there's a statement from him that is just really great, and I think just the perfect example about how to handle this. Basically, calling himself out and saying, "I allowed this kind of behavior to happen. Here's what we're going to do," and he's taking action.
Mm.
And a lot of these other ones we're not hearing anything. And we talk about this a little bit, that beer is a place to it's a fun activity. It's about a party, right? So we want to keep everything up and upbeat, but when things like this happen, we don't want to sweep it under the rug, and we don't want to pretend it doesn't happen. So I figured we should talk about it a little bit. There was the woman herself, Brienne, was called out by someone on her own thread that said that she felt like she had some internalized misogyny against this other woman in the brewery industry that was so excited to meet her from the Pink Boot Society. You know about Pink Boot Society?
Yep.
And apparently that Brienne rolled her eyes at this woman because she was dressed very had her nails done and very had ribbons in her hair. And so she had some internalized misogyny, and to her credit, she posted that one as well. And this is almost like a full-time job for her at this point for a couple of days. But Notch Brewing, to their credit, are 100% behind what she's doing. And so it's not about Notch. They're doing they're obviously, I mean, almost everybody's been called out in some way. Brewdog is another one. Boulevard, Grains of
the
Wrath,
things
even
you
Oscar
mentioned,
Blues, Lord Hobo.
Kind of just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah, and I've only read about half of these. My eyes were starting to go because I kept reading these stories, and it's hard to read stories because you have to pause with your thumb. Okay, that's another thing. I don't need to.
I know problems. You're absolutely right. No, I found the same thing.
You should have put it in a regular post.
No, because I found I had to look at it Instagram on my computer because it's easier to pause on the computer. Easier to pause a story on the computer than there, because each one of these stories, even if they're 15 seconds long, there's a lot in each of them.
There's a lot to read.
And I should also I think we should point out to anyone who wants to read more, to have their own take on it. Her Instagram handle is Rat Magnet.
It sure is. I don't know if that has to do with that she draws them in somehow.
But take a look at some of the stuff that she's written, and obviously we support her. And it's
and it's still unfolding. I mean, every day
it is still unfolding.
It's only been, I think it's Monday this started, or Tuesday.
And by the time you're listening, it will have been a week. So
I'm actually
we're taping on Thursday.
Okay, this will be something for hookups next week, because I think I read it started a week ago.
Okay,
that her initial post was like on May 11th, is something like at that point that she had, this was just something she was blowing off steam after a shitty day. And she had like 2,200 Instagram followers. Now all of a sudden she's got like 10 times that in the course of a week, because the such a groundswell. I mean, it reminds me of the first time I saw the Me Too stuff break, when everyone was telling stories on Facebook. It's pretty overwhelming.
Over 49,000 followers now.
Yeah. Okay. So
makes me wonder. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I mostly think of the craft beer world, and partly because of the part that I inhabit, as politically very progressive and even generous. There's a lot of B Corps. My favorite local is a co-op. Um, and
Absolutely.
when you mentioned Me Too, I'm thinking, is there like a sort of Joss Whedon sort of thing here? Is there, not so much, although there are certain breweries that I've encountered that have a bro culture, but is the big wave more that cover story? Like, is you getting any sense of
Like
that from the
pseudo
stories
woke
that you
guys, you
read?
mean?
Like, yeah, exactly. Posing as, very progressive. We want to, make sure everybody's welcome, and we, really just kind of want to harass them.
Yeah, there is a lot of accusations of that, of gaslighting, where people even hire certain women to say, "Hey, look, I do the right thing by," and then behind the closed doors, they act like real scumbags.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
certainly part of it.
we will continue to watch this story, and we encourage you out there to do so too.
Yeah, look at her posts. I mean, you could just. And what I noticed, she puts them in order with the stories, and it's like, what does she call it? Sexism. There you go. Sex, and they're all in stories. Sexism part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 6, 7. And she's up to part 9 in the
Wow.
stories, and each one of them is, how each story is like maybe 4 things. They're like
Yes.
40, 50 things in each story.
Yeah.
So it's, and what I found was the first couple are more timid, not timid, but like not necessarily calling people out by name and saying, well, this happened to me, this happened to me. And as it goes on, people get a little, seeing that everybody else is they have solidarity with others, and they're calling out more people by name and breweries by name. And so I think there's going to be more of this to talk
Yeah.
about in the future.
I mean, it's
But
something that's so endemic in our society. It's not necessarily, unfortunately, sadly, it's not surprising that even under the most progressive kind of industries, it's there.
yeah,
It's part of our culture that needs to be addressed.
I read one that was from Elysian Brewing, and Elysian. And this was a story about a GM who had taken over before they were bought out by AB InBev, so quite a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This GM came in and, according to the story, fired all the LGBTQ people, and this is in their brew pub in Seattle was in the traditionally gay neighborhood, and fired all the people of color, and sort of wanted to clear house, and was just very like used very derogatory terms, for certain people, the most derogatory terms. And it wasn't until AB InBev came in that the guy was actually fired, because they have an
Wow.
HR department. When you have a
Yes.
small brewery
Yeah.
like this and you don't have a lot of resources to properly police your own your employers, and places do have an HR department. And that was another thing that was called out a lot, was
I saw
HR
that too.
department saying, "What are you going
Mm-hmm.
to do?" Especially at Tired Hands, they're like, "This is the way Gene is. What are you going to do? He's the
Yeah.
owner."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've seen that. I've seen that in restaurants or bars where you work, and it's like the owner
I've seen
is
that everywhere I've worked.
anywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And sometimes you're just like, what are you going to do? It's his company.
Yeah. Well, now I
But
guess we
then
know one of the things we have to do.
and as a consumer, that becomes our responsibility, is
Yeah.
to hold
Right.
these people to task. I've also noticed a number of the brewers guilds, uh, locally. Our New York City Brewers Guild is already starting to do work and work specifically with New York City brewers to continue to call out this and be very vocal. And the Brewers Association is also starting to look into this. So the sea change is happening at a very large level too, which is really encouraging. I hope, and I hope that the pressure continues.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. So we'll look more into this in the future for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm sure there will be future updates
Absolutely, no question.
as this continues to grow.
All right. Well, in a moment, we are going to have. I've asked the doctor to catch us all up a little on the Ohio beer scene. But because I had so much good help drinking this giant 750 milliliter beer, I'm starting to feel like I need a new one. So I think I'm going to bring Father B in for some tasting notes.
Oh,
All right.
fantastic.
So come on over.
Great to talk to him.
All right. There you go.
Okay,
Yes, put them on. Have a seat.
got it. Father B here.
Father Brownstone.
Father Brownstrout. Oh my goodness!
Welcome to the beer cast. It's great to see you.
To be here.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Well, what I was gonna say, what have you been drinking of late that you could report it on?
Well, I most recently is this Branch and Bones potion that we discovered this evening, and I find it nutritious and eminent and
Eminent.
and very fine.
Nice. Nutritious, eminent, and very fine. I like
Those
it.
are excellent descriptors for any
like
beer.
it. Yep.
I'll be honest.
But
I am stealing
this one
eminent,
especially
totally.
deserved that.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Is there any other beers or breweries you've been enjoying these days?
Well, let's see. Where have we been?
Well, we went to. We haven't been to any breweries.
No breweries yet. But
listen, the captain is your son. You don't have to call him captain. You can call him Porter.
Porter. Okay. Oh, hello, Porter.
Young Porter, we prefer. The young Porter.
There we go.
Is it Porter Jr. or your first name's not Porter?
Okay. No, I'm not. Porter A and Porter B.
I'd like to point out that Father B is a fellow Golden Miler, a veteran of the
excellent.
Marathon Pub Crawl. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and 12 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh wow, keeping track. I like it.
And number 12 2 years ago.
Yes.
So, because Porter B couldn't be here that year, so I represented him that year.
Nice.
Both down at the Barrel House. Well, sit down here, youngin.
Right. Thanks for visiting, Father.
Yes, good to see you.
Bless you. Bless it.
Bless it. # bless it.
Excellent. All right. Well, so
I have another beer. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's great. So
I played the wrong chords.
No, I
was playing the theme song again.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, what an idiot! All right, go on.
It's a good song, and obviously these are good beers. Otherwise, wouldn't have fun things like that happen. So, as we mentioned, the doctor gave me some lovely beers. He was also helping me pick out some wonderful things at the Barrel House. And one of those, this is you mentioned that your beer was Huck. That your beer was sort of a callback to last week's show. Mine is in a slightly different way. We were talking about Game of Thrones beers, right? And about how some of them are the official Amagang ones, but other ones are slightly like it. And this one seems to be a direct reference to it. It is from Wolf's Ridge Brewing in Columbus. And this is the Dire Wolf.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Lady.
This is an imperial stout with coffee, dark chocolate, and molasses at a lovely 10.8 ABV.
Hello.
So let's see this right here. And let's try that again. All right, you guys can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Didn't destroy the mic there. All right.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the darkest beers I feel like we've seen.
I love this glassware you have too.
Yeah. This is
Father Brownstone's
some apparently the father was he was giving some woman some counseling, and she gave them to him as some sort of gratuity. So that's all he'll tell me. He won't give me any details. All right. No. So
pastoral counseling. I like it.
There we are.
There you go. What? Tell me the name of the brewery again.
It is called Wolf's Ridge. It's interesting. I was reading their story earlier today. It was reminding a little of our friends from Acquired Tastings, because it's a father-son team that wanted to collaborate on fine dining and beer. And so they started a brewery and then a restaurant to go with it. Do I have that story basically right, Doctor?
Yeah, it matches what I understand. I've eaten there just for appetizers, and it's they've earned the rep easily. It's across the street from the theater my kids worked at most frequently when we were working in theaters. So. Well, when they were, I was just going.
And hopefully we'll be again soon.
Yes, we do hope so.
Absolutely.
So we were talking about the Ohio beer scene. It's interesting to me because I talked about growing up here as a young sort, and you mentioned on your last show about how you had to struggle to find good beer. And in the early days of craft beer, it seemed like Michigan was doing well, and Pennsylvania I think had some good stuff, and Ohio seemed to have a few laws that were holding it back. So how did Ohio become the beer powerhouse that they are now?
I think it's a bit like, and I'll have to preface this by saying it's colored a lot by, as we reach back into the dim past, my local recollections, because, we're talking about an age where internet access was not the ubiquity it is today. So
Mm.
you're getting stuff, word of mouth and newspapers and mailing lists and that sort of thing. Um, I think it was much like Ohio adopts things in general. There are pioneers and fits and starts, and there's some tragedies there of people who had really great ideas, but we weren't ready because it was new. And then if we embrace the trend, we embrace it all the way.
Okay.
So there was this um, gain and loss, gain and loss, gain and loss. Locally, probably the big tragedy is Miami Trail Brewing, who were a proper, fully funded, uh, mid capacity craft brewery who just did not have enough market. I still have one of their growlers. In fact, it's the same bottle style as the Beer Vengers logo
Uh-huh.
growler. So, kind of a rarity that. Um, and I want to say they
With a
were
shout out to
open
Single Cut
in
who made that growler, as well as Night Runner who designed it, John Hoffman.
very nice.
Yeah.
They were. I want to say they were open in '96 because I know that they brewed a house Irish stout for the Dublin pub um, that was just remarkable. That was like they had Guinness because they are an Irish pub, but they also had this side by side, and they encouraged have a taste of each. Um, and the Dub Pub Stout, brewed by Miami Trail, pretty great stuff.
Yeah.
But they say we didn't meet the demand in enough time, and really there's not a whole lot of taking off until the late 2000 and singles, 2009,
Mm-hmm.
2010. Now, again, that's right around here. I understand that um, I don't know exactly the year that Great Lakes took off in Cleveland, but they
Mm-hmm.
were ahead of us.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, they're
and
real big
then
now.
the next brewery in the city of Dayton proper is 2013. Um, and that was Toxic, who are still with us. And that is one thing I think is an I don't know if it's an anomaly nationwide, but it's a surprise to me, knowing as I do how ebb and flow of food and drink business in general. We're not losing our craft and micros. We're just expanding and expanding, and it seems that people have enough demand to keep them all going. At some point, it might top out, but um, we're not seeing that yet. And if you go, you know, even just city of Dayton, we got two more expansions coming with Little Fish out of the Athens, Ohio area,
Okay.
are opening a tap room in downtown this coming year. Moeller Brew Barn from Maria Stein, Ohio,
Okay.
also opening one.
You were
So,
asking Father B about where we've been. We went to Milano's the other day. We had a lovely. He was an IPA from Muller. So it was the first time I'd heard of Maria Stein. So he filled me
yeah,
in on some of those details. Strange name for a city. It's actually
and
quite nice. Yeah.
yes, yeah, it's named after a convent. I think that I am asking
Okay.
for a hookup. I think the Maria Stein convent is there in the town named after it. But I'll go ahead and put that out there and let myself be
Sure.
corrected. And also, Ohio breweries are winning awards. Um, I know Wolf's Ridge got something at the GABF recently. Let me see if I can find what it was.
While you're looking for that, I'll
Yes, they,
mention the funny thing I read. But you were talking about Muller. I read the article the other day about the Muller opening in Dayton, and they're opening near the minor league team is, and it made me think
Oh,
about. I hope they're more successful than McKellar was in Queens.
Yes.
Well,
It's
McKellar
It's
is
a
still
gonna be
doing
wonderful.
very
cheaper to
well, but
try.
their big expansion was they were going to open something in City Field, and the pandemic killed them.
Yeah.
McKellar is still very alive and well, but no longer in City Field. And actually, I think Huck might have another pour.
Oh yeah.
All right, we'll
Oh
get to that.
yeah.
Then we'll continue with the Ohio story.
I don't need it, but I'm got it. But I got it.
Huck commits. If I've learned anything, it's that Huck commits.
Okay, coming back to Brooklyn, baby.
Hey, hey.
Threes Brewing. This is called Short
class.
Fuse.
Oh,
Ooh,
good one.
short
Yeah.
fuse.
A fodder fermented smoked Helles.
Ooh, fun.
Helles means pale. Smoked. You know how I am. I like my smoked lagers, but I like them smoky. So we'll see with this one.
Oh,
Ooh.
beautiful crack.
Right
Did you
on.
happen to get this one directly from them, or?
I did not. I don't remember where I got it. Oh no, I do. Wait, yeah, I got it at West Side Market up here on the west side.
Okay.
All right.
There's
all right.
actually a West Side Market. There's one on 3rd Avenue downtown East Village, which is a real great place to get beer. But this one up here is pretty good. But that one downtown is got like they have all the new stuff. Up here it's good. You know, they got some stuff, and I was going over there for some other reason. Oh yeah, I had to get a COVID test. How about that? All right, short fuse. Here we go. Open for some smokiness, baby. Certainly get that paleness.
Yes, that look
Helles
is
on
right
here.
there for a pale ale.
You
And
love my you dig my my corporate glass.
I know, get that Stella, but also
I'll tell
good
you,
head.
I love this glass though.
Good head development there. It
There we
really is a
go.
chalice.
All right, let's see if I can do this without. Let me shut off this light because that gives me a pink glow. the orange can. There we go. All right.
Oh, nice.
There we go. Good old short
Beautiful
fuse.
beer.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good looking beer. All right, let's see. Ooh, I'm getting a smoky nose. Hey, you know what? All right, we got some smokiness going. I dig it.
Okay.
It's not like, ham or bacon kind of thing, but
Yeah.
nice.
So depending on what they
It's a
use,
light
sometimes you do
smokiness,
get
but
like
not too
bacon.
light. Not too light, not too heavy. Thank you, Threes. I can dig it.
All right, now
Threes, Goldilocks style.
I haven't always been the biggest Threes fan, but just the past couple of years, they've really become a really good lager house, and
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm down with
nice
the
stuff.
Threes now.
Doctor, I think I should offer you a choice to either continue your story first, or if you have another pour, you can do that first.
Wait, if I
There's
may,
going to be a
if I'm
point in the story where the pour comes naturally. So I
Excellent.
think
Well,
I'll
I didn't.
let me
mean
just
to, I didn't mean
interject
to
again
spoil
if I
that.
can.
All right.
Just
So
want
yeah,
to quickly
keep,
interject if I may.
Oh yes.
Smoky. This is smoky.
Hey.
All right, there. Now I'm done. Now I'm done.
All right. That's fun saying.
Now that's
It's
going to
fun
be
say
stuck
that.
in my head.
Yeah.
So okay. Wolf's Ridge took a bronze at GABF in 2020 with their Buchenrauch, a smoked beer.
All right.
Nice one there, Huck.
Very
Hey.
good transition.
Who
Thanks
knew,
for
right?
that. Yeah.
So,
Rauch
and
beer.
I'm not going to read all of the the winners from Ohio, but I will call out one that consistently does very well. Fathead in North Olmsted, which is a Canton area,
Very
and
popular.
yeah, the Goggle Fogger took a gold again in 2020, and it's interesting to me, especially because that it's not one of my preferences. I've had it many times, and I have a lot of friends who just dig it enormously. Doesn't hit my sweet spot. So,
Hmm.
but kudos to them. They're definitely quality people and make a great beer. So, and taking a gold in 2020, the Moozy Milk Stout from Brink Brewing in Cincinnati
Ah.
also made this lovely
Oh.
milkshake black IPA,
Oh,
Oh
yummy.
wow.
which on the theme of like novelty or nonsense style names.
Sure.
But I've had this before, and it is great beer. I don't care what you think the style ought to be called.
That's a first I've heard of a milkshake black IPA. We had a black IPA last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's in what way is there IPA in this combination? You know, it's got hop in it.
I
but
can't wait to hear what this is all
This
about.
is very exciting.
do we? I didn't emphasize the crack. Did we hear it at all?
I accept it. I saw it. The
I'll
visual
amplify
for
it
those
if
of
I
you who
need
can't
to.
hear it was excellent.
But we'll see
Oh
see if I
wow,
can
it's
not ruin my keyboard.
very
Yes.
dark, extremely dark, and pouring
Oh,
so
they're not
thin.
playing with the black.
Mhm.
No, we got some nice head on there. Well, there we
Yeah.
go. That
Again, try not to
caramely
ruin the
head.
keyboard. Did I catch it? I
You
caught
got
it.
it.
All
You're a
right.
Well
pro.
done.
And what does that say on your glass?
So
Dayton
this
loves beer.
is,
There you go.
I think I had this one on my last appearance. This is Dayton Loves Beer from Barrel House, written on a face mask. And all of the smaller text is
That's right.
negative comments that were sent to the Barrel House, some of them quite vicious and vulgar, um, in response to their very early and strict masking policy.
Mm.
So they decided to lean in. In fact, one of the
Mm-hmm.
comments is not worth it. A hipster snowflake joint anyway. And one can today buy a Barrel House T-shirt that says hipster snowflake proudly on it.
Do
Wow.
they have
So I'm just
stickers
going to
with that
enjoy
too?
this.
I was
They
gonna
do,
say,
yeah.
yeah, I may need you to grab one of those for me, Captain, while
Yeah,
you're
that was
out
the one
there.
thing I forgot when we were there the other day. I was hoping to get some of those stickers.
Okay, so I will amend my statement. There is plenty of hop in here.
Okay,
Okay.
interesting.
So there, but because there's that nice roasty note that's got a
Hmm.
kind of different bitter, rounds it off, and the lactose mouthfeel is huge. It could be a milk stout in mouthfeel.
Oh
Um,
wow.
the nose is grassy herbal hoppy, so
Okay.
neither pine nor citrus, more along that oh fuggle sort of profile. I don't know what hops they actually use. It's probably available online.
I'll
Sure.
try to find it.
I mean, and also to be fair, they the category of milkshake IPA existed before someone decided to make it black.
Yep.
Yes,
That was already
and
a genre.
it
Right.
got a
It's
lot of
just
Yes.
the black
derision,
IPA
right?
version of it.
Tired hands.
Yeah. I mean, when milkshake IPA was first named as a style, and I think there's some contention about who did it first, beer critics just leapt on it, like,
Yeah,
nonsense, you can't do that. It's not a thing.
yeah.
It's a
That's and
thing.
that.
Whether you should say IPA or not, who knows?
Yes.
It says it's got vanilla and lactose. That's all I'm getting on the.
Huh.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
yeah.
they may want to keep
Oh, it's a
their hot
collaboration
profile. It's a collaboration.
with Darkness Brewing.
These are also kind of low ABVs for me. In general, this is a 6.8. So,
6.8. Yeah.
respectable, but not a night
Hmm.
ender.
Darkness
True.
Brewing out of Bellevue, Kentucky.
Ooh.
Well,
Excellent.
it's just over the border.
Right.
Yes.
When I was in Cincinnati, I went to the aquarium, the Newport Aquarium, and it was in Kentucky. And you sit there at the aquarium, you look out the windows, you're looking at the city of Cincinnati.
It's a beautiful view. Did you hang out in the jellyfish room? I stay there forever.
Yes, we did go to the jellyfish room. Yes.
And Cincy's
Yeah.
got
Yes.
such a great beer scene. I feel like it is
Yeah.
super underappreciated, which yeah.
You're absolutely right, and I probably should have mentioned that early on in the Ohio setting segment. They were also ahead of Dayton, but I didn't know. I just wasn't going there often enough at that time.
Uh-huh.
So uh, Rheingeist, which is I think probably the largest
Hmm.
premise
Yes.
today, has a lot of distribution within the state and without,
Yeah,
and
they're getting
their
big.
home brewery is enormous. It's just it's indoor that you can. Does everybody know Cornhole, the game?
Yes. Hmm.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
they have indoor cornhole, a substantial amount of it, so there's enough room for that easily.
Yeah, I thought that was just Midwest, but a couple of years ago, family did a whole thing at an Airbnb in Vermont, and they had their own cornhole thing game there too. So
Yeah, it's big.
it's I did want to ask you a couple of questions as far as the brewing laws go, and if any of that was holding back, whether it was Little Miami name of the or just Miami Valley Brewing.
Miami Trail, yeah, it's Miami.
Was that the name
So
of
yes,
Miami Trail?
Miami Trail,
So like
not the
because at a
permission, but
certain
the
point,
licensure.
right? Because
Go
the
ahead.
brewing laws at some point they were favoring the macro brewers as opposed to the micro brewers, and that had to shift for micro brewers to really thrive in Ohio.
Yes. So it wasn't so much a change in the law, as I understand it, as it was the pressure to permit and to authorize more inspectors.
Mm.
Because does anyone know when the federal statute changed that permitted home brewing and thereby microbrewing a few years later? It's
I don't
like,
remember.
Colorado's way out in front because of Papazian and his push.
I can't remember
Uh,
the year, but I know it's
1978.
way later than it should be. Yeah.
78. Yeah, it was. I talk about it in my spiel.
So there were, promotions and the ideas of entrepreneurship then. But Ohio's liquor law structure is as obtuse as almost any state. I think Pennsylvania may have us beat, but we still have separate distribution and licensure for spirit, beer, and wine.
Yeah.
Different kinds of Sunday licensure,
Mm.
different kinds of package, different hours, especially different hours on Sunday.
Mm.
And as part of that legacy, it wasn't so much that a size was important, but the expectation, think much like, say, like raw milk or organic farming or certain kinds of exotic meats. It wasn't prohibited. You just couldn't get anyone to take you seriously long enough to actually inspect and approve it because they were very used to dealing with a large organization that had somebody that they would go in and talk to. And I think
Yeah.
if you've ever like done your own electrical work or plumbing
Right.
in a building, you're not going to get inspected. It's just going to take you forever. Hire somebody who the inspector already knows is qualified. And they'll come around and go, yeah, it's all right. And that problem plagued it. And I won't limit it to the early ones. It's still difficult.
Yeah.
There's a friend of mine is a big investor in a relatively recent starting brewery called the Wandering Griffin, and they are sizable and suburban, and their licensure was held up. Like more than 10 separate incidents for what seemed to us very tiny objections. So they're
Mm.
trying very hard. Do they have a restaurant? They're serving other people's beer. They know what they're doing. The equipment was purchased from another brewer. It's in perfect shape, but they just can't quite get that approval. So the other impediment Ohio faced is the regulation of what constitutes beer. Because and this was on an episode not long ago. I won't call it which number, but
It was the
there was a
acquiring
discussion
the
about
one about Arkansas. It was the
yes,
Arkansas laws?
yes,
Yes.
acquiring beer vengers. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. I
yeah.
remember
So
because
for a
I
long,
think there was one time I don't know if it was 2015 or 2016 where they were just finally adjusting that law because you were telling me you were
yes.
the same kind of deal that like people would say was a certain percentage, but they were rounding up. So yeah, what's the Ohio version of
Hmm.
that?
So that was the last vestige was in that 2015 sounds right to me. Was so we went from in our that is the captain in my youth, where for a period there was up to 3.2% was considered the beer that one could buy at the age of 18. Then the drinking age shifted to 19 and beer could be up to 6%. But above that, it could not legally be beer, but it was very difficult to have it be considered wine until you
Mm.
got up to around 10. So there was a dead zone. You couldn't do it. And if you're a small craft brewer,
Right.
your control isn't that tight. So you could be making,
Madness.
I'm going to aim for 5, and I ended up with 7, and now it's nothing,
Yeah.
Right.
if anybody assays it. So the change in 2015 was Ohio's top limit for beer was 12. Thus, the famous Cloud and Shoes Ohio Unidragon, which said 11.9% on the
Right.
label. Yes, it
Right.
is. No, we promise. Really, it's not. It's not 12. We promise. And when that law changed, we're now wide open. So that's really helped a lot of the small brewers.
It's really
Uh,
insane to me considering that you're selling vodka and whiskey and
Right.
But no
and
yeah,
15%
in
beer.
the same state,
Yeah.
yeah,
but you
That's
can't have a 15% beer. It's or a 7% beer.
yeah,
It's
because people assume beer is something else, and
it's
they want to
madness.
drink 4 and then drive. I don't. The
You can
The
sell
logic
grain
is simply
alcohol at
this
a
is what
state
we
store.
did. Yes. Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
190 proof, I think. What's it was for? Yeah, I may
Yeah.
be over exaggerating.
American beer laws are completely insane, and I think it has a lot to do with prohibition and
Yeah.
continuing to have those the. We went from complete illegality and just like slightly change it over the last 80 years. It's nuts,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of powers that have vested interests in all of the
right?
3 tiers.
Exactly.
So it's very hard to fight them off when you want to open things up a bit. One of the restrictions Ohio has in the spirits world is the list of allowable spirits is controlled by a state board. And it's not a category or analysis. They just pick stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you can get grain spirit. You can get very high proof stuff. You can get some kind of amazing Irish and Scotch whiskeys, and you can't get others just
Yep.
because.
Well, I'm glad
Let's
it's
hear that.
thriving, and I'm looking forward to the rest of my week plus here, hanging out with you and finding some more wonderful Ohio beer.
Yeah.
Um,
I do have to ask whenever we have you on, how are things at Blind Bob's?
Oh yeah.
Well, of course, I haven't been in person for a while,
Yes, I can
um,
imagine.
but I did actually. Thanks to you, sir. Thanks to you. On inauguration day, I was just in a mood. I wanted so badly to be out in a bar and buy around for people. Like, especially if I found people that disagree with me politically, and they were sad. And like, no, but have a beer.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that. So we have a local delivery service that delivers from Blind Bob's, and so I ordered a silly amount of their food, including the bourbon chicken wings and the deep fried pineapple hula hoops and a big old bacon blue cheeseburger. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, thank you for caring for them. I look forward to the day that I get to return to the Oregon District and
Thank
share a
you for
pint
your
with you there.
service, sir.
Yes.
We Captain,
yeah,
we should. We're we're both fully vaccinated. We're invulnerable. We're both fully vaccinated, right?
yeah,
You're done.
Mhm.
yes,
He's done.
yeah.
We could
I've been clear since April 29th. That was my 2 week mark. My 2 weeks past my second one. Yeah,
we could we could go on a like a crawl. I mean, we could. I mean,
yeah. I
it's
mean, we
not a
could,
whole
maybe
bunch of
not a
people,
full
but we
golden
could
mile,
go for
but
a walk.
yeah, yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
know if the captain's
that's a really
told
good
you,
idea.
but you're going on a crawl.
I guess we're
He
going
I
on a
guess
See,
he
crawl.
hasn't told you.
I, I'm the surprised one. All right.
Yes. I mean we were
You're
hoping
going.
for.
I definitely hadn't intended
Yeah,
that we should go get a beer, but let's go get
yeah.
beers in several places.
We will do
Let's
that,
take a
Make
walk.
sure you go to Blind
and yeah,
Bob's.
I'll definitely talk about that. Oh, you know what? We've never done this before, but I mean, you should come back next week so we can talk about it, right?
I'll be
Is
here.
that
I'll
okay
be
with you
here.
guys?
Well,
Wait,
I
what?
at this point, if this is what's happening, we may need the full report because you do have to let your fellow beer vendors know on what kind of
You don't
life-saving,
want just my
world-changing
side of
action.
things. Yeah, like just
Yeah,
really see
exactly. Well,
what the Oregon
Uh,
District and bars in Dayton are how they're recovering from stuff, and yeah, the good, the bad,
I
and
think that
everything
could be
else.
very important to
I'm
our beer
in.
venging
Sure. Yeah.
duties.
All right, and especially it'll really piss off Nutpool. So you know.
Well,
Well, you know what I
I
was.
am seeing Nutpool this weekend. In
Yeah, you
in
should
other
definitely say
areas.
it's so great we're having someone on for the third time. Actually, they're doing
Oh,
2 episodes in a row. I think he needs to know
exactly.
that.
I'll make sure that
Yes,
Nutpool knows. Just
You know what? Say what you will about Nutpill. Oh, Jesus,
exactly.
I can't talk.
try that
It
again.
was,
Try that again. We'll edit that out.
It's too
sure,
late.
we will.
Say what you will about Nutpool.
Say what you will about Nutpool.
It's a captain's line anyway.
Say
It
what you
is.
will about Nutpool.
There you go.
It's been said.
So
My lips are
I'm
sticking
I'm
together.
curious because I don't know if you're just holding back, but do you have any hookups from last week?
Oh, you know what? It was a good show, and we kind of like cut off hookups at the pass in most cases.
Okay.
We corrected on the spot. There was only one thing we talked about. Weihenstephan Brewery
Yeah.
as being the oldest. The 981 years.
Well,
We didn't want to do the math last week, but there you go.
981
math
is
is
good.
good.
981 years. That's a long time for a brewery.
So in 981 years, so that means that we've got 19 years until 1,000.
Think about the breweries that were happening in the States 981 years ago.
Corn.
Yeah, it was
I'm
corn.
sure that Native Americans they were making a type of.
Well, yeah, corn-based beer is
I don't
very.
think they were into alcohol too much until we introduced it. Well, there we go.
Well,
There's something for Hot Cups next
I
week.
was gonna say, but
Ooh,
no, but
there's more
corn-based
beer in
beers
this can. Hang on.
in the Americas were like a thing that go all the way back, and I believe it is actually parts of the Midwest where like this sort of this whole society where drunkenness was part of what you did. Like everyone
Yeah.
passed around beers, and I got a little, but mostly getting drunk on coffee, but also beer was a part of that because
Mhm.
corn makes delicious beer. As anybody who
Certainly does.
enjoys corn lagers or any sort of beers, sometimes we see those mostly from Mexico, can attest to.
Yeah, the U.S. too. Yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of corn is used.
Mhm.
I also I don't see this as much of a hookup as more of a needed clarification that we may not be. In fact, I almost reached out to you before the
Please.
show. So it looks like 12% is brewing or releasing or whatever it is they do in both
Yeah.
New York and Connecticut.
Oh.
Also,
Ooh.
I looked on the website and Nightmare seems to very strongly identify as a New York State brewery. I know you mentioned
Agreed.
that his sister is a famous talk show host in Albany. So I don't
I
know
don't know
if
about
that
Mormons,
qualifies as a Connecticut beer.
but it was brewed in North Haven.
So it was clearly brewed in that location of 12%. Because
Yeah, it's
all
on
right.
the can. Yeah.
So it's I'm going to give them both credit for that one, I guess.
And what's funny is they have that 12%. They have Nightmare and Abomination,
Right.
which
The
are
Abomination is
two.
very much Connecticut. All right.
They're two of the most horror themed breweries
Yeah.
around. And they're both out of the same location. Yeah. So
Okay.
Nightmare,
So
New
yeah,
York.
I was adjusting the spreadsheet and I found myself in a quandary.
Well, I know that they've brewed out of Boston in Dorchester,
Okay.
and they've brewed out of Great South Bay,
Okay.
out on the island, and now they've brewed also in North Haven. So,
Okay.
they're covering all their bases.
Well, I guess
there.
in the
They're
same way that
trifecta.
even though Japa Cervejaria identifies as Brazilian, their last the beer I had from them was brewed at Great South Bay. So it is I have them listed in the spreadsheet as a Brazilian brewery, even though
Right.
they have that New York thing going on there.
Yeah, and Hoof Hearted out of are they from Indiana?
Oh,
Might be
did we talk about this
they,
on the show last week about that brewery?
No, but
Because
I'm just
I
we've
just
had
had
them on we've had them on
actually.
before.
First of all, I should say that brewery is Ohio.
Okay, yes,
They're not
Ohio.
Indiana;
Yeah.
they're Ohio. They're in the Columbus area.
See,
And
we
I
saved a
didn't.
hookup right
I
there.
know, saved a hookup.
I've been extolling that beer for 6 months or more, and I didn't realize until a recent trip to Astoria Beer and Cheese that I didn't realize their name was a joke.
Oh yeah.
You okay? You got the joke.
Mother Pucker got that right. She said that's one of the greatest brewery names
Yeah,
I've ever heard. She got that right off the bat.
Because
yeah.
I was at Astoria Beer and Cheese, and their only stout had kicked, and Henry was trying to help me find something in the case over there, and he said, "Oh, what's this? Oh, this is the latest one from Who Farted." I'm like, "Oh, of course, that's what Who Farted means."
Well, they're very goofy. If you see, like they show up at beer festivals wearing wigs, and
Yes.
they're just super goofy guys. But they back it up, like with Nightmare with their gimmicky murder beers. They back it up with good beer. So
Yeah, well, I
same
mean,
with
I've had some really
Who
good
Farted.
stuff from Who Farted. And the funny thing is, I was reaching
Can't
out
stop
to
saying
the doctor a while back when I first started really truly discovering them, and and he told me that he thought they had kind of a fratty vibe, and I wonder if the
Yeah.
name that I didn't understand was part of why he thought that.
That's sort of specifically for the tap room that I know best in Columbus, which is
Okay,
in my
it's not the
kids'
fact that the
neighborhood.
name is Who Farted.
Oh.
Well, I think maybe that's what drew it, but the beers have earned my respect.
Very good.
So the tap room crowd itself, I learned from my sons, is probably it's not their favorite place to be.
Okay,
For a very bro vibe. It
good
doesn't say
place to
anything
get
about the
beer to
brewers.
go.
Yeah.
You can get mobile pickup in Dayton, according to Instagram here.
Oh, from
Yes.
from Who Farted?
From Who Farted?
Yeah.
So we're gonna
and
have hookups
We're just
next
going to keep
week.
saying that, aren't we? It's just going to keep us going.
well, we'll get it out of our system until the next time we have
And
that
I've
beer
been
on the show.
been so careful from the very first time I saw it to pronounce it hoof-hearted.
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 Yes.
Hoof-hearted. Hoof-hearted.
I like the captain. I didn't get that at first either.
I'm having a lovely new beer from Hoof-hearted. I think it works better in an Irish accent.
What a wonderful aroma comes from the Hoof-hearted beer.
I have a couple more things in weekend beer, but I think the doctor might have another pour. No, you don't. Okay.
I haven't poured another.
All right.
I have one ready. Should it be called for?
All right. Well, let me keep working on that one. And should,
No pressure,
and
Doc.
should you decide you want to pour another one before the end of the show, you can. But the couple things I wanted to talk about a number of weeks ago, we mentioned the regretted departure of the Baroness Bar, which was a great burger and beer bar very near Queensboro Plaza in Long Island City. They are reopening not at the same location, but on Vernon Boulevard at the former location of Corner Bistro. I think the Manhattan Corner Bistro is still there, but they had one there.
Oh, that's great.
They had really great burgers, but I didn't. We had I've had some good experiences.
Less than ideal experience there.
And we had a less than ideal experience at Corner Bistro. I don't know if being in a Queens satellite was ever really good for them, but it is interesting that they're known for their burgers, and the Baroness prides themselves on being a burger bar, and they're going to be the next ones there. So I look forward to visiting the Baroness at their new location. Also, there's a movement in New York City to extend and make permanent some of the pandemic laws, specifically about single tap or cocktail beverages to go, as well as the street seating, all the open streets, I guess they're calling it, right?
Yes.
We want to be like New Orleans.
Yeah. And I read a really great article. I'm not sure where it was. So this is a later in the show sort of thing where like, do your own research. I don't know. But it's but what was great about it was that Dan McLaughlin, one of our favorite people, owner of the Pony Bar, had a lot to say in this article. So
oh, great.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
And where was the article written? It was
I believe it was in the Post. Is that it?
Oh.
Yeah, well, there was one Post. I feel like I saw it on like the local Fox affiliate, like not Fox News, but on like Fox.
It might have been one of their bartenders was beer tenders, I should say, was quoted in the Post. But good to get that out there any way that we can.
Okay, the one I saw had a lot of Dan in it, so I'm glad they're fighting the good fight, and we are supporting them in that.
Always.
Here.
Yeah.
For our Ohio listeners, a parallel movement is present here. As is the existence for the first time, not caused by the pandemic, but parallel in time with the DORA, the designated outdoor refreshment area.
Oh,
very good.
And Dayton's own Oregon district, including Blind Bob's, is one of the early ones. So
I'll be right over.
Hang on to that. Yeah, so you can have a beer and walk around to another bar.
Oh, that's
great. Yeah, we might even. I don't know what you had planned for us on Saturday, since it happened so last minute and off the cuff. But if Blind Bob's isn't in there somewhere, I think it needs to be.
I think that's got it.
For the sake of the beer wonder.
For the sake of beer wonder. For the sake of the boy.
Say, I may need photographic evidence that you went, and I may need to see the burger and the fried pickles. Just saying.
Maybe we should call from there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the English style crawl, right? Where you don't plan it, you just know some lads and lasses. I really don't want to be exclusionary,
especially on this episode.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Correct.
We're not making light of the situation.
No, by no means.
I got the smoky beer. I didn't mention it was 4.2%. It's quite.
Oh, Huck.
Hey, come on.
Huck. Come on.
Nice. It's nice. A lot of flavor.
Come on.
You're calling me
I've said it before, and I'll say it again.
I like low ABV beers if they're filled with flavor.
That's true. You're good at finding them too.
I have equal respect for high ABV high ABV beers that do not have a boozy taste, as I do for full flavored low ABV beers.
Yeah.
I think both of that's an incredible art form to be able to have the taste and the flavor and the enjoyment have so little to do with how much alcohol is in it.
Well, it reminds me of the you guys know the old commercials for the Smokey Robinson like K-Tel record, and they had the commercial where people would reminisce how much they loved the Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
Yeah.
And this one
Oh, yeah.
guy, this one guy would go, I would be listening to the music. My dad would come in and said, turn that down. And I would say, but Dad, it's Smokey.
Oh my God.
That's beautiful.
That just stays with me. That just, that's one of those iconic. I'll have to like send you guys a YouTube link if I can find it.
Yes.
But Dad, it's Smokey. That's what this beer is. It's Smokey. I like it.
Excellent. All right. Well, gentlemen, do we have any more business? Any more urgent things that need to be discussed? Any more? I mean, I would talk.
I wanted to
about
make sure I talked about that commercial.
Yes,
That's very important.
Yeah.
I did take a little trip to Evil Twin last week on the
Mhm.
bike. I'm not going to say too much about it because I think some of the fruits of that may show up on future shows. But I got some really nice stuff there, and to avoid a can rupture, I took the subway back.
Always good.
Those city bikes. I mean, they've got a thing where you strap them on with that elastic, I think sometimes it just presses against that seam of the can, and it just enough.
Oh.
Yeah, I've lost two cans that way. So I decided that $2.75 was an appropriate shipping rate. That's how much the subway ride costs.
You guys, I'm taking such advantage of that mute button. You wouldn't believe the noises I'm making.
So and also here's my other city bike thing. A couple weeks ago, when Beer Wonder and Tripel Man were talking about the QR code for menus, I've actually found they have definitely gotten better, and also where they work best is on City Bike. Have you done this, Beer Wonder?
Interesting. I have not tried that.
You don't have to put your thing in the hole anymore.
You just
I
just
that
scan the
didn't sound
code.
right.
That also, this is not the week for that, but
No.
you know.
Can you, if that was your favorite part?
All you have to do is like point your phone at the QR code and the bike unlocks.
Well,
It's
that's
great.
exciting. I will be honest, I have been remiss in my city biking, but now as the weather is becoming more beautiful, I'm excited to pick that back up.
And the most adorable thing I saw on a city bike was I saw a woman who had like I said, they have a lot of different things. There's sort of different carriers, but one of is like kind of a basket. And I saw a woman who had a cat carrier strapped into the basket.
Oh,
it was like clear, so I could see the cat as she was riding her bike, and it was very cute. The cat. Again, we're not diminishing women here. It was the cat that was cute. It was yeah.
Oh boy.
See, he's
Huck, please save the captain. Help him dig up.
I was gonna say.
Here's
the thing. It's been very exciting. We've already got next week planned. I can't wait. I expect photographic evidence of my beloved Blind Bob's, which means Dr. Beer Nerd, come back anytime. But more specifically, come back next week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
That's a promise on both counts.
Fantastic.
You are a true trailblazer.
Exactly.
Dr. Beer Nerd.
Changing lives.
You'll be the envy of all other beer vendors, but mostly Nutpool.
I'll let him know. I'll let him know on your behalf. In fact, if you can send me photos, I will show him the photos just so that he's aware.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. I think that's the end. Thanks everyone for listening. Huck, do us the honor of playing us out.
Okay. See you next week. Oh, with a beer Vengers, beer Vengers, beer Vengers.
We're the Avengers.